Hit the share screen button.
And I will make Gabe a co-host. Do you need the screen share, Tom?
I don't. I've
Okay.
got my usual.
Oh, excellent.
Rustic presentation.
Yes.
So currently, right now, Julie, your regularly scheduled programming is likely flapping books for Abraham Verghese to sign before his event tonight at USD. So we are carrying on in her absence. And you may notice, our regulars may notice that Tom is not in his usual place.
Right. Where's Barbara Streisand over my shoulder and the books? And I'm on the road. I am doing what reps sometimes do. We hit the road. I'm in Arizona.
Hmm.
Yeah. So I see Changing Hands tomorrow. So I'm here. And I was saying, I think it's the first time I've done this from the road.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've done one from the road either, huh?
Right. I mean, we had the pandemic for most of it and then slowly coming out of that. So yeah, so not an exciting background or good lighting, but here I am.
The lighting's better than you think.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you're kind of glowing.
That's the ring light that I brought with me. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
It's not the
Changing
makeup
Hands.
person you travel with.
Changing Hands is one of those bookstores that I've been seeing their bookmarks for as long as I can remember.
Oh yeah.
The hands.
Yeah.
Are they new and used or?
Yes.
They've always
Okay.
been.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I feel like it's always used books I found the bookmarks in. Well, I mean,
No,
I guess all books
that's
by the time they were
right.
getting
That's interesting. Yeah. They definitely mix new and used.
cool.
Yeah.
And then where do you go after Changing Hands?
I come back home.
Cool.
In and out.
Like a thief in the night.
Yes. After I do my
Early
Excellent.
after I
morning.
sell my Barbara Streisand, then I come back to LA.
When does Barbara come out again?
November
November.
7th, maybe.
Okay,
Come
cool.
on.
Okay, I guess it's just us today. So do you want to start us off, Tom?
Sure. All right. So my first book, this is out tomorrow, My Murder by Katie Williams. This is her second novel. Her first novel was Tell the Machine Good Night, I think it was called. Got a lot of great reviews. But this is the one that will break her out for sure. So the tagline, which we don't have there, but basically it's very easy. What if the murder you had to solve was your own? So she is a happily married mother of an adorable toddler who has also been killed by a local serial killer in the world of the novel. So you're getting this, you get the feeling this is not just a murder mystery, this is speculative fiction. So they have a way of bringing these women, it's more than her. There are women who have been killed by this person, we don't know who. And they're brought back to life as, I guess, I'm not really sure what they are once they're brought back to life, but they presume to lead the same life. So she has the same husband. But there are clues she starts, and she doesn't give it a lot of thought at the beginning, but slowly but surely there are things that don't add up about her memory. And so it's basically a murder mystery. It's a clever twist on the mystery with this, kind of speculative bent. But I'm not a reader of speculative fiction, and I devoured it. So I think it can be read by just about any kind of reader if you like a good mystery. This is definitely that. And it's a literary novel. She's an excellent writer. It's not long. You can almost read it in one sitting. I guess she's a clone is what she is of herself. And she's sorting through the memories of her past self and what led up to the moment when she died. So it's out tomorrow in hardcover, already getting incredible reviews. Maureen Corrigan on Fresh Air says that it shakes up the same old conventions of every genre it touches and has a ton of fun doing so. So that gets at the fun of the book. It's for, as I say, just about every kind of reader. Literary fiction, speculative fiction, or mystery. So that's My Murder by Katie Williams.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
It's really cool. Great read.
Mallory, our head book buyer, really enjoyed that book.
Oh, she did. I didn't even know that. Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
Good to hear.
I can't remember if it was this week or next week. It's our weekly book we're buzzing about.
Oh, excellent. Oh, that's great to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Very
and I think it's going to find a lot of readers.
It reminds me of the Echo Wife by Sarah Gailey that came out a couple of years ago. It was really
Right.
that was really good too. Very
Yeah.
similar story.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah.
Brave New World.
It's out there.
That's
Well,
pretty great. Like, I
That's
mean,
something good.
why not include clones as a suspect in a murder mystery?
Right. And I love the premise that investigating your own murder.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, Gabe.
I know I hit the button too soon.
Oh,
That was on me. That was me. I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, it's fine.
No, I like this kind of fiction. It's something that's just a little different from what you normally
Yeah,
read.
we're always looking for something different.
Someone's going to shake you up a little bit because
Yeah.
where we do have a lot of personal favorites, the job forces us to read other things,
Yes.
which is always, and it's always like, geez, I would never have picked that up in a million years sometimes. But that sounds like something I would have picked up.
Yeah.
That totally sounds fun. I got two windows up. So I'm going to talk about a book on sale tomorrow, The Con Queen of Hollywood by Scott C. Johnson, who wrote the initial reportage on this story, which is this weird, you hear Con Queen and you think, oh man, somebody scammed all these movie actors and stars out of millions and millions of dollars. The losses that were incurred by the various victims was like $1.25 million, not a huge amount of money for a scam. And it was kind of this, it wasn't like this get rich scam, where I'm going to get all kinds of money. It was kind of like, I'm going to screw people over scam. And people, she, because it was with the Con Queen, who turned out to be an Indonesian man living in Manchester, England, would contact, stuntmen and young actors and involve them and tell them that they had a, part in this movie and they were going to do an interview, and then they'd fly to Jakarta on their dime and you'll be reimbursed by wire transfer. And people got caught up in this weird, bizarre scam world. So there was a podcast. There's going to be a Netflix movie of some sort, Netflix or one of the other platforms. I think it is probably Netflix, though. A documentary about this. There has been a podcast that has been going on through the pandemic about this. True crime at its kind of creepiest and weirdest. And this is a person who's very George Santos. The resume is very spotty, a bunch of lies. Was part of the speech team, but got kicked off for plagiarizing. The debate squad. Anyways, just all kinds of this really odd person who, when Scott Johnson digs deeper, finds a really troubled individual and a really bad person. His own sister calls him a monster, and the abuse that he laid upon her. So this is really creepy story that at first glance, I was like, well, there's all this drama about this story. What's the big deal? Not even a few $1 million, barely $1 million. Got scammed, but it's the nature of the whole psychology of a messed up person. That's kind of the great thing about true crime now. It's not like that old days of true crime where it's just like the Anne Rule days, the grisly murders, and this, it's a psychological. It's like what makes you so twisted. So it's a cool read. It's I think the true crime audience will definitely pick this up. It's a lively narrative.
Yeah, everyone loves a con and a scam story.
Yeah, they're good. They're good fun. Capers, cons, grifts.
Harper brings a lot of the true crime these days. I like it.
We it was such a odd genre where every once in a while you'd have a book that would hit really big, and then you'd publish like diet books and business books. One day we're going to sell 2 million copies as you throw 40s and 50,000s out the window. But true crime right now has become for us a real steady revenue stream. Speaking business, it's really just been a real since the Golden State Murder, what's her name's book?
Oh yeah, McNamara.
Yeah, McNamara's book. That we've had a few they're more like psychological insider looks at the scammer and the scam and what's going on inside. They're a little more interesting, and they're smarter, and I think the reader is broader now than it used to be. It's more of a current affairs feel to these books now than like true
Yeah.
crime, it seems.
That's true. Yeah, it's less. Yeah, you don't. They're not even like the old the Ann Rule days.
Which were great for. I mean, they used to sell like crazy. But
Yeah.
They were sort of like lurid though.
they're pretty. Yeah, they were pretty.
Yeah, that was part of their charm.
Yeah.
Great mass markets, boy. We tell
More
Yeah.
lurid, the better.
Cool, thank
Even
you.
the jackets were like cut out snapshots, you know.
Yeah. Like
Right.
I think like blood and knives and roses.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
That's
Yeah.
As
That's the
opposed to
image.
this sophisticated package that we have, it's like
Yeah.
things change. It's funny how true crime can change. It's a whole perception of the reader, and there's like a zillion. Because I watched Only Murders in the Building. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah.
Hilarious, I think.
Yeah.
Martin Short and Steve Martin, and but the world of true crime podcasts is alive and well.
Oh yeah. I feel like true crime podcasts have really brought them back to books too. At
Yeah.
least I mean, true crime podcasts are all the rage. So not for me.
Beth says this conversation makes me think of Death of a Bookseller. Did either of you read that one?
No.
Julie loved it. Yeah, I haven't read
Yeah.
that one yet. Damn, I have to read that.
I don't know if I want to.
So many books.
Strikes
Um,
close to home. Deborah read that book. My wife Deborah blurbed it.
Did Deborah like it?
She did.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna talk about a bird book. This is George, a magpie memoir. It's by Frida Hughes, who is actually the daughter of Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath. And it is this is I think a genre. I'm not sure if it's always been around or if I'm just now noticing it, but someone discovering things about themselves through knowing a bird, specifically this magpie. And Frida Hughes is also a very talented artist, so there are very beautiful illustrations throughout. Hard to see, but there's a nice.
And a poet.
Mhm. And it's very beautifully written. There is poetry within as well. And I'm a huge fan of corvids and birds in general, and I just really loved this book. So if you know anyone who is also a bird lover, highly recommend. And also this great cover, like, my God.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's funny, it's sad, it's insightful, very good bird memoir. I wonder if that's an actual genre. So that's George. And back to Tom. Huh?
Well, I didn't know about their child, Ted Hughes and Sylvia Plath. So that's great.
She wrote a poetry book with us. We published Sylvia Plath at Harper Forever and proudly, and we did Frida's book many years ago.
Right.
Yeah, like 5 years ago in paperback, 6-7 years ago.
Oh, Kim also loved Death of a Bookseller, so we obviously all need to read it.
We all need to read it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember. That was presented on here by Julie or by a rep. I can't remember.
I think Andrea,
Yeah, it is an Andrea book.
it's like mysterious or somebody.
Scarlet is the publisher.
Oh.
I don't know.
Yeah,
that.
which is Louisa up in Book Passage. Louisa Smith.
Yeah, she's great.
She's worked on this book.
Oh,
It's one of her
cool.
books. Yeah,
Ah,
I think she's doing some editing up there for them.
Right. Cool. Okay, so I'm going to continue on with my picks are all like summer readings. So we started with My Murder, The Whispers by Ashley Audrain, which is the follow-up to The Push, which we published a year or probably 2 years ago. That was a very disturbing page turner about a mother. It's a lot about motherhood, but also about a mother who fears that her child is evil. Like what happened? Is capable of doing these things that seem to be happening. The new book is a little bit more, I would say, like Leanne Moriarty territory. Page turner about 4 families, suburban families. They, you know, seemingly on the surface, happy lives. But then there's a get together of the families late summer, and there's like a terrible act of violence of a mother and a child when the mother overflows with rage. And then that child later ends up in the hospital. So then we're sort of flashback to what brought these characters to this moment. There was a book we published years ago and it became a TV series called The Slap, that was from Australia, I think. And this has a similar, like, the reverberations of this act and what do they mean. And it's a page-turning thriller that keeps you turning right until the last page. So I think this is going to be the book. You know, The Push was a bestseller, a big debut. I think this will take her to a whole other level. There's a lot here. Ivy Pacoda in this, I think it's this past Sunday's New York Times, has this great review, which the first part of it is about publishing and publishers and why do they put, you know, books like this into, because we have to categorize, we're talking about genre, we have to categorize everything as, say, women's fiction, or, you know, why do we need to do that? When there are books like, and this is a quote from the review, "I want every man to read this book, despite promotional materials trumpeting its appeal to women." And then she ends with, "And after Audrain has lulled you into a sense of resignation over her character's fates, she delivers a sucker punch ending you'll have to read twice to believe." So it's got a lot of, you know, it's a page turner, it's a thriller, but there's a lot deeper stuff about parenthood, you know, and what can be our worst impulses. So that's The Whispers by Ashley Audrain.
Sounds good.
And Ivy Pacoda is exactly right. We do, you know, pigeonhole books in ways because we want to make sure they reach that reader, but we, in some cases, we send the message it's not for other readers.
It is, I mean, and we've stumbled across that as booksellers, where we're forced to read other things that are not, or you look at things, you're just, like when Tom and I get manuscripts, sometimes you have a title and author and maybe a summary of some sort, but sometimes you pick something up and you're just like, wow, this is really engaging. And then you look at the package in the catalog and you're like, oh, it's women's fiction.
Yeah, right.
But that's your brain automatically connects you to a woman's fiction. I did this with this woman called Victoria Hislop. And I love this book called The Island by Victoria Hislop. And I just thought it was really smart, and it took me back to Corelli's Mandolin a little bit. It was a great location. It was really good storytelling. And it was commercial, but it was really well told. And I saw the package now and a paperback original. And I'm like, oh, man. And then I was kind of like, am I embarrassed? But I really recommended that book, and it was a really good selling book for us. And then her follow-up did well. And then my sister's book club, which is a bunch of professor PhDs, picked 2 of Victoria Hislop's for their book club because they liked them so much. So even, yeah, you got to package them some way.
Yeah.
And you sort of go for like the biggest chunk, unfortunately.
Yeah. But it is reductive for sure. And sometimes.
Yeah, if you could find that in between, like, but then it's just like, it looks too weird.
So I kind of liked it in that review. She called out publishers and said, you know, this is for a lot more readers than you think.
Like Ivy's books.
Yeah.
Which she writes. I will slide right into my next book. And it looks like I'm talking about 3 books, but I'm really talking about only one, Enchanting Paris, which is the 3rd book in our Hedonists guides. So these have done really nicely for us. The travel market's kind of weird. People do online stuff, but I think hardcore travelers, my wife and I always, you know, pick up, you know, 3-4 books, and we read like 8 pages in each one or something. A lot of bookmarks, a lot of tabs. So we still buy travel books, even though all my reservations and studying I do, and research I tend to do online, but we like having the books. And these are books we started with Magical Venice, and then we have Iceland, and it's all about the best places to eat, the best places to stay. So Enchanting Paris is going to take you to the I think the beauty of these books, I think it's good for the savvy traveler and for the new traveler. And that's kind of an odd mix. Some books are kind of, geared to, you sort of think with the hedonist guide, you're going to just kind of go top end. But it's not. It's a lot of things to see, a lot of places to visit and eat, the various differences in the various arrondissements, the neighborhoods and the culture of the neighborhoods that have changed in a lot of places. So you really kind of get to see behind the scenes a little bit. It's not just sort of a front end, top touristy. It kind of allows you a little bit to mix into the general population a little bit and get some insights on that. So you're just not going from, the tower to the Arc de Triomphe to the Tuileries to the take a breath, pop into this neighborhood and go to La Marais and get something to eat out there, and walk around in that neighborhood because it's cool. So they're really fun. They're really well done. They're really well researched. And as I said, it's not something I would normally talk about, but they've been really well received in my stores. People didn't bring in a whole bunch, and they just keep getting reordered. And so there's a traveler for them. Absolutely, there's an audience.
They look beautiful.
They could be like coffee table.
Yeah.
They could be that like the DK books a little bit.
Yeah, so they remind me a little bit of Eyewitness, but
More-
if they
more
go deeper into the neighborhoods and
Yeah, and a little more upscale on the imagery, photos, as opposed to kind of a lot of the DK books are great. I love the DK books.
Yeah.
That's one of the brands we always have.
I went looking because I do love a good travel book, and there's this series that Andrea often talks about called The Passenger from Europa.
Oh yeah.
And I have a copy here somewhere. But they have one for Berlin, and it's so good. It's not really a proper travel guide. They're more almost like a literary collection, and they include photography and art and journalism, and they're really great. I'm gonna put the link in the chat I'll just say that's my next pick because
Yeah, they're very cool.
yeah, and so I mean it's a whole series, so anyone if you're planning a trip and you want to get more of a holistic view of the place you're going to, instead of getting the traditional,
I have never done that. Like, I research hotels and places to stay and things that we want to see. We kind of know what we want to see, but we went to Venice, and so we did our thing. We walked around, and when we got back, I read what's his name, the Dutch author Ten Boom. What's his name? Anyways, he did a big book on Venice. So I read it and I was like, oh man, I should have read this before I went, because I so many things I didn't see. And then I read like another book on Venice, and then Tim Park's book on Italy, and I'm just like, oh man, there's things that I walked right by.
Yeah.
And then you're reading these tellings and these narratives, and you're just like, man, I was like around the corner from there.
That's right.
Could I run across the street with my gelato? So stuff like, it's all like all of a sudden I'm like traveling different. I always read after the fact. Went to Scotland and I started reading all kinds of things backwards, and it's like I got to get ahead of that curve.
I know. I did the same thing with Barcelona, where I was just in Barcelona, but then I came upon, is it called The Passenger? What's the
Mhm.
I came their Barcelona book, which I got after the fact because it's cool, but I really wish I had done it beforehand.
They do that cool column now in the New York Times Book Review, and it's I forget what they call it, like travel by the book or something, where they have a whole reading list, and they usually get the list from someone who lives there or intimately knows the place. And it's really cool because it's everything. It's fiction and nonfiction, but I mean, I still love a good travel book, like a very, an index or
Yeah.
Goodrick Steves or and then also Atlas Obscura's website is so great. So there are so many different ways to travel now, but I definitely still love a good anthology. I guess we're in lightning round land, but take your
Okay.
time.
I have a lightning round.
Yeah.
That's Annabelle Monaghan, same time next year. So, or same time next summer, sorry. So she did, the book last year was Nora Goes Off Script, which was, I think it was a selection of maybe the Today Show or Good Morning America. It did really well. But what's changed, that was a hardcover, now in paper. But for this book, this summer, this is out tomorrow. We've decided to do this, or just go straight to trade paperback. So it's a trade paperback original, which is perfect for obviously summer reading. It's a pretty traditional romance plot. Sam is the main character. Everything's good. She lives in Manhattan, getting married to a doctor, goes to Long Island, a Long Island beach house for like wedding planning, and then runs across an old flame. And the book is about what happened, obviously what happens after that. It's already been named a best book of summer by, like The Skim, Real Simple. It's showing up in a lot of roundups of summer reading. So I think she builds on the success of Nora Goes Off Script with the new book. So that's Annabelle Monaghan.
Sounds good.
Nice to have it in paper right away.
Yeah.
Don't mess around.
Yeah.
I mean, I like to feel a little pretentious and carry a heavy hardcover to the beach, but it's not very
Not everyone
pragmatic.
does. I like that too. I'm the same, but
I always take.
I'm just
something
as
deep.
pretentious.
Gabe.
People walking around with their girdle Escher Bach and stuff.
Infinite jest at the bar.
Exactly. Just knocking off a couple pages. Like, waiting for my drink. Get my drink on. So I'm on the summer. We had a little vacation on the with our Paris book, and we're gonna continue I'm with Tom the Mojo here on summer reading, and My Magnolia Summer by Victoria Benton Frank, who is the daughter of Dorothea Benton Frank, beloved Harper author. She actually came to us after quite a few books, bestsellers. And sometimes these best-selling authors, very commercial fiction, kind of bounce around. Sometimes they stay at one place for a long time, but she came to us a long time ago, and she stayed with us for a long time until her passing. And she became one of our more beloved authors because there was no place that Dottie would not go. Her books were set in the South, and I remember them asking, and I couldn't give away Dottie in LA and San Diego and Seattle, and they're like, "Hey, Gabe, Dottie wants to come to LA," and I was like, "I don't know for what, because it's going to be tough." And
You try to talk him out of it.
Yeah, you sort of try to be sensible, and it's like, I don't know if this is her market, and blah blah. You're kind of dancing as fast as you can, but you know what? She was such a lovely person. I picked her up at the hotel. I remember the conversation we had. We sat down. We got there half hour ahead of everybody, and we sat down and had a drink. When I looked over, she had ditched her wine and had that big wine glass full of scotch. And we proceeded to have a really great night. And then a few other gatherings with Dottie, and had a really great dinner with her and her agent one time in like some strip mall in the valley, a steakhouse in like the Way Valley, not the real valley, but like way out almost to like the desert. So at a chain store that zillions of miles from anywhere, but she was a really lovely person, and she wrote these books, and she came out to LA, and then you know what, I think Julie and her might have tipped the glass together, and she showed up at Warwick's, and we just had some really great sales, and she was kind of a friend of Warwick's, and she's one of those authors I associate with Warwick's, like Joyce Maynard. There's certain voices that authors that I really Warwick's has really been really good to, and there's been these good relationships. So going on too long on the lightning round, but Victoria Benton Frank is Dottie's daughter, and she's bringing us the same, really a similar voice, a little different generation. I mean, Dottie's my generation. She's like 7 years older than I was. So she died way too young, but she is, her daughter brings a whole new generation. It's the same world. And I think we're gonna have great sales. We got a really cool package on it, and it is, it's summertime. Take this to the pool, to the beach, drama, southern romance.
You should read that blurb out loud. That was quite a blurb.
Oh, I
from it.
should read that blurb out
Yeah.
loud.
It's a
Ann
great,
Patchett's blurb.
yeah, it's a great update of the genre too. You immediately get the feel of what you're
Right.
talking about.
Right, exactly. It's got kind of that modern characters look very modern with that sort of, I don't know, these artistic directors and art people amaze me what they do. They really merge these two worlds together. But I'm going to read the quote. By writing My Magnolia Summer, a novel of low country food, family drama, and just the right amount of romance, Victoria Benfrank shows that she is the rightful heir to the crown of summertime storyteller. Her mother would be so proud, Ann Patchett.
That's great.
Which I think is
High praise from a high place.
Can I tell my Dottie story?
Well, please.
I didn't call her Dottie, but I will now. I only met her once, but it was at an Southern California Booksellers Association trade show. It was the basement of somewhere, I don't remember which hotel, but it was the year that we were publishing The Help. And so she came up super friendly, could not have been, I was like, I didn't know who she was. I see her name tag. She said, you know about this book, right? I'm like, yeah, I know about this book. She said, you're going to sell 1 million copies of this book. I was like, really? You think so? She knew she was prescient. She could see the future.
Wow.
We sold many more than 1 million copies, but
wow.
that was my experience with her. Could not have been nicer. And I always, when I think of The Help, I also think of Dottie.
Very sweet lady, very sweet woman.
Yeah.
Thank you. Kim earlier said they just finished Goodnight Irene last night, and they are looking forward to seeing Luis Alberto Urrea at Coronado on Friday. Thank you.
That's cool.
So yeah, we are hosting him. Thank you for that shout out. I should put the link in the comments here. And he's also doing a luncheon with Words Alive, which is a local literacy organization. It's a fundraiser lunch, and it's next Monday, and he'll be in conversation with Dr. Seth Lehrer from UCSD, the literature department. I took a couple of classes with him. He's amazing. He's a fine author in his own right. So if you fancy a fancy fundraiser, you should check out the Words Alive function. And Darcy also loved Goodnight Irene. So yeah, it's been getting very high praise. I think Kristen Hanna had a really strong blurb on that one. And
I don't think Luis has gotten a bad review in 20 years.
Nah, but this one's like, it's real hot. Also, I think, oh gosh. Oh no, I'm blanking on his name. Lovely man, he just came to Warwick's. I'll remember it in a second. But I should also mention Isabel Allende has a new book, and we are also hosting her. Unfortunately, it's sold out already, but I wanted to mention this book is out. The Wind Knows My Name. This is probably if you enjoy any of her books, you will want to read this one, but probably a good one for people who enjoyed A Long Petal of the Sea. And yeah, she just can't do anything wrong. She also missed her calling as a stand-up comedian. She's amazing. She's so funny.
I've actually never seen her live.
She's such a personality. Yeah, she's awesome.
That's great.
And we have other events too. Lisa C will also be with us this week at the Coronado Community Center. And her new book is one, it's called Lady Tan's Circle of Women. And that's one for someone who remembers Snowflower and Secret Fan, which blew my mind long time ago. Jeez. Well, I've been in this business a long time. And yeah, so a lot of good events coming up. And oh, I see another comment here. Kim says, just when I think I can't handle another World War II story, they suck me back in. Irene was so good. Yeah, they just keep coming. I mean,
I mean, you guys need to set up like a Christmas club account or something for your customers, because it's like this last couple of weeks, man, you can bankrupt the person.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we're coming in hot.
It's
It'll
all like
calm
the
down.
same audience. I mean, it's all your readers, your regulars, your good readers. I mean,
Yeah, people are ready. They're ready to come back to events, which we are so grateful for. But we're also grateful for everyone who tunes in every week. So thank you so much for everyone here again, and lots of good books. Oh, I have to mention, there will not be a tea time email tomorrow because I'm taking a little bit of time off.
Oh,
But we're going to include these books in next week's e-blast, as well as any new ones that are talked about next week. So
perfect.
look for that. And but these books will be I'll put them on the website right now, the event website on our webpage, and you can also see them in the comments if you wanted to go back. Thanks everyone for showing.
Sure. Bye from Arizona.
everybody.